Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. AMC stock is down about 19%. To be honest, I didn't see this coming, but there could be a very clear reason for this. And I think when you boil it down, it is quite bullish post-reverse split. So I want to get into that as well as talk about what's happening today, just overall with AMC as well as the broader markets. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone that needs to hear it. I've been hearing a lot of detrimental rumors out there that are simply not true. The biggest rumor that I have seen that was actually posted to the Discord is AMC has filed an 8K filing to issue 500,000 additional shares of AMC right after the reverse split. This is simply not true. So where this is actually coming from is this right here. Certificate of Amendment to the Third Amendment and Restated Certificate of Incorporation of AMC Entertainment. It says, Section A of Article 4 of the Certificate of Incorporation is hereby placed in its entirety with the following. The total number of shares of capital stock that the corporation has authority to issue is 600 million shares, consisting of 550 million shares of Class A common stock, par value of 1 cent per share, the common stock, and 50 million shares of preferred stock. The fucking Weeble's going crazy. At a par value of 1 cent. There is literally no mention of 500,000 anywhere. I really don't know where that rumor started, but it is indeed not true. This is what we already knew, right? AMC has the authority to raise up to 550 million shares of AMC. After the 1-for-10 reverse stock split, there's going to be roughly 50 million shares outstanding. Add on top of that the settlement payout, and AMC could, in theory, raise 500-some million shares of AMC. Are they going to do that? Well, no. And let me tell you exactly why. Because AMC stock has fallen 20% 2 days in a row and is now falling another 20%. 3 days in a row to see your stock crumble is not an ideal time to raise capital. It's actually the worst time you could ever imagine to raise capital. At the same time, AMC's business is doing okay. Keep in mind, there's no expiration to this outstanding share count limit. So AMC could raise shares off of this, what we're seeing, 100 years from now. Okay? So we're not going to get dilution right away. If we do, we have massive problems. But that's not going to happen because you could literally get the stock delisted at that point. The stock could fall that much. But that's not going to happen because AMC is not going to nuke the stock. So that narrative is a flawed one. That rumor is not correct. Now, what's actually happening with AMC stock today that I think is having a massive effect on the stock is options are not trading today. I've personally never seen this where options got shut down before the reverse split. Personally, I've never seen this. Maybe this has happened before. Obviously, I'm sure it's happened before. But I have personally never seen this. So, options are not trading today. What you've seen yesterday was a lot of bearish option activity. So, over the past week alone, you have seen 1,062 orders totaling $317.81 million with a positive order value of 5%. The option activity has been very negative recently. That's obviously a given. So, these things work with delays. And if you still own options, they're still in your portfolio. So what's likely happening is a lot of this bearish option activity that we have seen recently is starting to be hedged out for by the market makers a lot right now. That's probably what I would imagine happening. But then again, I do expect the live short interest, the official reported short interest, to explode in a way that you are not expecting coming at the next legal short interest report. I expect the short interest will be in between 35 and 45%. It would not surprise me if the short interest is actually higher. Now, I think a lot of people are also confused in regards to how the short positions actually work after the reverse split, and nothing changes. Just the numbers are going to look a little bit different. You're still going to have likely, 40 odd percent short interest. You're still going to have a lot of shorts on AMC stock from the market makers, but this could allow the market makers to start buying back quite a bit of stock, because what's going to happen, most likely, a lot of option buyers are going to go ahead and sell those options. Maybe they roll them over, but odds are they do go ahead and start closing out a lot of those options. Now, with this arbitrage trade anyways, just as it is, the arbitrage trade was buy ape, short AMC. After the reverse split, cover on your positions, get out of this trade. And that looks like the only logical move for a hedge fund or institution, considering where the cost to borrow fees are. Cost to borrow max is at 1,060%. Cost to borrow average 773.5%. Cost to borrow minimum 8.5%. AMC stock is on the threshold securities list. 27.86% live short interest of free float, and 143.87 million shares that are currently sold short. So basically how this would look if we had the reverse split as we expect tomorrow, you're going to have about 14.4 million shares sold short out of the outstanding share count of about, call it 55 million. So you're still going to have the same actual short interest, just the amount of shares that is sold short is going to decrease by 10x, and the amount of shares outstanding will decrease by 10x. So reverse splits do nothing to actually alter a short interest percentage. A lot of people had that confused for a long time, that essentially these short positions would automatically be closed out of at no loss or no gain maybe to the hedge funds and institutions. And that's not exactly the case, or not even closed out of, but just evaporated, like they were magically gone. That's not the case. So if you guys are curious on that, that's not it. So that's kind of the data that we're looking at over here. 90 for the short score. $323.67 million worth of short positions currently in AMC stock. Like I said, 27.86% short interest on free float, 39.49% free float out on loan. Shares out on loan, 204 million. Days to cover, 5.54. Cost to borrow, 371%. Trailing 3-month average. This is up almost 500% in the last 3 months. Just showing you the degree of the cost to borrow increase and how this is affecting hedge funds and institutions. Like, it doesn't even matter what happens with AMC. Again, you can have 20% back-to-back down moves in AMC stock, and hedge funds and institutions are still screwed. They're still, on an aggregate basis, down 100% or more based on the cost of borrow fees and the average days out on loan. Because even if you don't sell AMC stock short, you're still paying those cost of borrow fees if you borrow those shares. And utilization is sitting at 99.23, back to about that 100% level. And again, like we mentioned, AMC stock is on the threshold securities list. That means there's a lot of FTDs. And what we have seen recently, ever since the judge made her decision, is FTD numbers have increased yet again. So what you're currently looking at for today, for August 23rd, is FTD numbers at 11.1 million. Tomorrow, you're going to come in with FTDs at 11.9 million. The day after that, 12.1 million. And then for even the following week, you're going to start off at 11.5 million, and you are going to fall by the end of the week. You're going to be at about 7.1 million, but still very, very sizable numbers that you're seeing over here. In the next couple of weeks, odds are FTDs do increase yet again. So this can be a stream of buying pressure, more so I expect after the reverse split takes place. That's where I expect a lot of these FTDs might start to actually be closed out of. And if we look at the option activity over on Stock Tracker data, you are seeing a lot of calls that did get placed on AMC yesterday. Like I said, we don't have options trading today, so we're not going to get any new numbers from there. So these numbers will be finalized for the day today. You have calls in the money of 6,684, calls out the money 729,000. Puts in the money 855,000, puts out the money at 72,000. So some very, very high numbers that you're seeing really on both sides here, right? Almost equivalent in terms of total option activity, but for the puts, most of the puts are in the money. And for the calls, most of the calls are out the money. And I think this sets us up for a very large bounce after the reverse split, simply based on how negative the option activity currently is and just the sheer amount of potential buying pressure you could see, right? When the puts are in the money and they go out of the money, that is buying pressure. When the calls go into the money, when they were previously out of the money, that is also buying pressure. So there is about 73 million shares that could be bought on the call side and 85.5 million shares that could be bought on the put side. These are very, very large numbers, and this would be over 100+ million worth of buying pressure, 160 odd million shares that potentially would need to be bought by the market makers. If you break that down by, after the reverse split, 10 times less than that, 16 million shares that would need to be bought by the market makers. These are very, very substantial numbers. And just given how skewed it is, there is no bullish positioning for the options right now. It's all bearish. And that means that usually you're set up for a bullish reaction when everything looks this dang bearish. Now, what is happening in the markets today? Two things that are really taking place in the markets today heading into NVIDIA earnings here in after hours. Number one, US flash PMI came out today, and it's showing a contraction, or not quite a contraction, but quite a big drop on a month-over-month basis. So it says S&P's global Flash U.S. Composite PMI Index, a measure of manufacturing and service activity, fell to 50.4 in August from 52 in July, its largest decline since November. A reading below the neutral 50 mark indicates that the majority of businesses responded to the survey, reporting an overall contraction in their activity. So this was a pretty good sign of things are slowing down in the U.S. This is more so solidifying the odds that we do not get another rate hike at the September meeting. But we do have Fed Jerome Powell on Friday, and that's going to be a massive catalyst. Interesting to see how we do react to Fed Jerome Powell and just the markets after the reverse split, if that does have an effect on AMC stock or not. And then you did have Europe's PMIs come in well below expectations, showing the situation in Europe is just getting worse. Now, at the time of recording this video, we are seeing AMC stock down 20%. And if you do go ahead and take a look, you've seen the low at $1.94. So if I were to imagine $1.94 is the bottom, you're currently trading at $2.05 right now. So you have seen a bounce from the lows. That is a good sign. And I do think coming tomorrow after the reverse split, well, you're probably in for a pretty bullish reaction, especially since the options start trading again and the options market is back online. You should get quite a few call buyers. Myself personally, well, I realized the options were not trading today because I went to buy calls, and that was not the case. So if we don't get a bounce tomorrow, something is massively wrong, and I think we need to start calling the SEC. So that is going to do it for this video. AMC's RSI is now in pretty deep oversold territory. I mean, as it should be, as we've seen 20% back-to-back down moves on average over the last 3 days. This sets us up for a bounce. There's literally no other way to put it. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's a big bounce. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a 20, 30, 40 even percent bounce due to some of the shorts closing out of positions and a lot of us taking on brand new long positions, which looks like a pretty good bet coming tomorrow. So that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.